Good morning. Welcome to Jasong's classroom. We're covering the sword method of 5.0 tutorial lesson number 10. I hope you enjoyed today. Okay. As always, let's begin with a word of prayer. Father, I thank you for this wonderful day. I thank you for this wonderful day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Lord, thank you for all that you've done for us, for being good to us, for loving us, for even the times that you've disciplined us in our life, for the times that you helped us get back on the straight and narrow path. I thank you for your personal involvement in our minds, in our hearts. I thank you for your personal interest in our lives and prospering us and making us to be wealthy and making us to understand and making us to be good stewards of your wealth. Ultimately, the sword method is a method of reading and creating maps to help steward the wealth that you are giving us, Lord. And I pray that we would be faithful instruments of anything you give us. Whether it's you give us souls or children, spouses, ministries, destinies of various purposes, people under our care, the sheep to feed, whatever you give us, Lord, let us be faithful with what you've given us. If it's an idea, a dream, invention, a book, a song, give us strong diligence and faithfulness to complete and finish our work. We thank you for everything, Lord. Let us most of all populate heaven so that souls will be made into heaven, Lord. That we would all overcome this world. Save our loved ones, save our families, save our friends. Thank you, Lord. Bless our day as we cover the markets. Open up our minds and hearts to be enlightened to the truth and to see things that many cannot see. Let us see what happens before it happens. Let us understand how to read correctly in Jesus' name. Amen. Today's lesson, cutting smaller, lesson number 10. Let's get right into it. Cutting smaller. When price trading, monthly, weekly, or daily charts, they are often part of the main story. Okay? They are important to help create the best price maps for what the markets are actually doing. And this helps us to understand. But it is often difficult to use them for shorter term profitability. We're wanting to take these larger swing trades, but how many larger swing trades are there in a year? How many? There maybe not many. How many larger swing trades are there in conditions when the markets are down? It's very difficult. So how do we bring this into our smaller world? To bring the method into a smaller and intraday time frames, we will follow a few basic steps. How do we bring all of this down to the smaller time frames, such as even a 5-minute, a 1-minute chart, if possible? Is it possible? How can we take a complex method and make it smaller? And we can do this in just a few basic steps. We can do this, but we do need to follow a sequence and series of events. If we skip any part of it, we can miss some steps. So there's some simple things that we can do just to begin to use this method for shorter term profitability. And so the steps are these as followed. Okay, number one, we're going to identify the major recent changes of behavior. And this is primarily the sword cut area. So we're going to see, hey, price just recently came into health, or price came into weakness, or price came into sickness, or price came into a time of a strong recovery. Number two, we're going to identify the most recent trend. So if there was a change of behavior to the healthy side, we're going to make sure that the trend now is going in the correct direction, and we're going to look at what trend was following before that change of behavior. And that's going to help us know the new trend that we're going to be looking at. We're also going to be making sure that we're trading in alignment with the larger term trends. Okay, so that means that if there's a larger up move and we're zooming in closer and closer, we're going to be able to identify what that major trend is. Okay, number three, we're going to identify the wrong price direction. And this is what is not the trend. And this is probably the most important part of it all. If the trend is up, then now we're going to be looking for all the times that price is trading against the trend, the times that it's going down. And we're going to be looking for consistencies as price goes down. That means that we're going to be looking for smaller trend lines that are swimming against the trend. These are like fish that are swimming against the stream. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a few moments. Number 4, we're going to cut the time in half. This is the time scale. So if we're trading from a weekly chart, we're going to go to a daily chart. If we're trading from a monthly, we're going to go to the weekly. Monthly, weekly, daily. From daily, we can cut it in half to a 12-hour. From a 12-hour, we can cut it to a 6, to a 3, or a 2. And then from a 2 to a 1. Okay, from 1 hour, you go to 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you can go to a 5-minute if you like. Okay, and that's how you can get down to those time frames. From a 5, you can go to a 1, but primarily we're not jumping so far in our time scales because you may miss something. Okay, step number 5, we're going to cut that wrong direction when price is going in the wrong direction. And then number 6, we're going to repeat. Okay, so identifying when price is going in the wrong direction and cutting price in the wrong direction are going to be some of the most important points to this system. Okay, so this is how we can use these for shorter term profitability. In today's example from October 2023, we're going to be looking at Tron, TRX. It's a bullish crypto, and we're going to apply these 5 steps in the video lesson today. So we're going to see how this applies to your real life. All right, here's Tron. We've on a weekly chart. A Tron from October 16th, episodes 132 from October 14th. We said this. We said that price is currently healthy and is building on top of a multi-touch support. A confirmation of the continued run up will be when price crosses the positive side of a white dotted line on this 6-hour chart. Wait for an entry to stack the odds in your favor. Otherwise, price is still in the down mode and not ready to move up. But that was back in October 14, and we did see the entry along this path. I'm going to show you this path just so you know where we're at right now, and then we're going to get into the method. Okay. We had multi-touch support. We talked about these in our lesson number, I'll show you, lesson number 5, flat family, when we talked about the multi-touch supports. Let's go back into this crypto. We see the resistances here, and we see that round action up here. We were keeping an eye on this small dotted line. And where was that dotted line at? Right here. Where was the sign on a 6-hour chart? Where was the health? I said when price breaks that health, you're good to go. Price broke the health here. We are now up here. Prices for that health where 0.86. Current prices are 0.093, which is not so bad. Not so bad. Currently price is up from those entry areas 7.8%. Not so bad. Not so bad. But how do we use that? How do we do this in real life? Okay, let's take a look at this step by step to see how we got here in the first place. Okay, and we're going to go back to our step 1. Okay. Identify the most recent changes of behavior. Okay. So what was the recent changes of behavior? And in this example, we can see that, let's go to a higher time frame on the weekly chart. We can see some of the most recent changes of behavior in this example was prices was going down. We were forming lower highs and lower lows. Here is a low, here's a low, here's another low, and the change in behavior was here. So there was an up move here. Okay, so we're going to start with this example, and the recent change in behavior was in that circle area right there. Okay, when we see that, we can draw a shortcut if we wanted to in that area, and sometimes that just helps us mark what areas we should be looking at. Just put a little block in that area. But here is the most recent change of behavior. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to mark this on a chart in a special way today. And you guys can use this in your personal life. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I don't, but this is a one way to mark it. We can put an arrow in that area. Now I'm going to bring up this arrow, and I don't make this arrow a bi-signal green like that because we still have to examine for when other entries would happen. But this is how you can bring this again into your world. We're going to check the style. I'm going to bring the opacity to white. And now I have a white arrow here in this area. First major change of behavior. Now we could draw that professionally. We probably should draw that professionally. There it is. All right. Now I'm going to label this arrow by double clicking on the arrow, and I'm going to click on the word text. In the text box area, I'm going to type in weekly. Okay. And that's it. Hold on. Why didn't it not come up? Let's see. Oh, weekly. I know why. Because it was trying to type it in the in the shortcut box. Let's try that again. Let's draw that in instant replay. Okay, so now this arrow says weekly. No matter how many times I zoom in, it's going to be about the same text size. But I know that there's been a change of behavior in the weekly time stream. So sometime after this candle right here, in that week, August 3rd, okay, so August 3rd, 2020. Now I have two major examples we're going to use, so Tron has plenty of practice for this. So let's go back to our steps. Okay. Identify the most recent change of behavior. We identified a break to the healthy side on the weekly time frame. Okay, right there. Great. We had some consistencies. All the energy centers were in alignment. 1, 2, 3. And price broke. Okay, this is great. What's the next step? We're going to identify the most recent trend. Okay, higher highs and higher lows. Now these steps are a little bit interchangeable. The most recent trend was down, right? If price has a change of behavior here, generally the new trend will be up. Now we can do a few things to confirm that, especially if you're wanting to be extra safe. But if we're looking at the segment from here to here, we can see that the trend is up. Do we agree on that? Okay. Now we identified the most recent trend. Next, we're going to identify the wrong direction. What is not the trend in this example? If the trend is up, the wrong direction is when price is trending down, right? When price is trending down. If we're taking notes in our box, let's just do this here. The trend is up. Number 1, weekly change of behavior. Number 2, the trend is up. Number 3, the wrong direction is down. Downtrends. Okay, let's go to the next step. Number 4, cut the time in half. We're going to now change the time scale. Okay, and then number 5, it's going to be cut the wrong direction and repeat. Okay, so we're going to cut the time in half. How do we do that? We go to where my finger is right here, along this bottom column, down in this area, right here. See where it says 1 week? Click on that 1 week button and change it to 1 day. And that's how you do that. Okay. Now, I changed something else. I changed it from Tron. There we go. Nope. Okay. So we're going to change this to 1 week. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 1 week. We're going to change it to 1 day. And we're going to find that arrow. All right. So there's the arrow. Okay. So now we're going to identify when price is trading in the wrong direction. So if the up move has the power, because there's been a change of behavior to the positive side, where are the down consistencies in this section here? Okay. I'm going to turn off the lines, the trend lines. And it means now we're just going to focus in this area. Can you see the consistencies that are incorrect in this area? We're looking for the wrong direction. Remember, what's the wrong direction? What is not the trend? We're going to cut the time in half. We did it. And now we're going to cut the wrong direction. So, the trend is up. The wrong direction is, what is it? Participation. Put it in the chat. I need to make sure you guys know how to do this because you're going to be doing this all the time. Down. That's right. The right in the chat. Good. The wrong direction is down. On my screen, we're now going to practice. You are going to cut the inconsistencies on this. You are going to cut the consistencies on this chart. We're going to find the flow of price that is down, and then we're going to see if there's any tell or clue that price is about to now move to the positive side. Do you see on this chart where the flow is? Use the word consistencies. It's a very easy thing. We're trying to line up all the ducks in a row when shooting them, but we can line them up even parabolically. We can line them with flats. We can use any of the tools that we use from lessons 1 through lessons 9 and apply them to this in this lesson. Does anybody see it? You can use the zoom annotate feature and draw right onto my chart and see if you see the flow of price that is consistent. When we're doing this, it may look like chaos to some of you. In the beginning, it does look a lot like chaos. But when we start seeing the flow of price often, you get it. Okay. Note takers, no one wants to attempt. Okay. You can click on the zoom button, click on the annotate. All right. I'll give you a clue. I'm going to draw the first energy center here. Does anybody else see anything here? Okay. Does anybody know where the second one might be? Look hard, as Rafiki would say. Does anybody see this? Does anybody see that? Anybody see this the consistency that's going on here? The bow shape, that parabolic shape. And now we can see price bounce up and sit right there, and now a change of behavior. Do you guys see it now? This is taking that weekly chart and now bringing it closer to our world on a daily time frame. So I took a screenshot and this for your record. Okay. So now we've cut the time in half and we can repeat. Okay. So on the daily chart, we can say, hey, Tron is good. We may want to buy Tron. But again, we're not getting close. We're getting closer to what we want to trade, but this is still not enough to help us with intraday. How do we make money today? How do we bring this into our world today? Okay. And for that, we need to look a little bit closer. Okay. So let's use now the newest. We're going to repeat the steps, but now we're going to draw another arrow here because I see this now on the daily. Okay. So I'm going to take another arrow and I'm going to use that text box and put daily. Now I can just copy and paste the previous arrow and we will. Okay, I'll take the screenshot. Okay. So now we know that on not just the week of August 20th, but it was the week of April 20th, 25th. Now we know the exact day areas, and that's going to be around May 11th and May through May 14th. Somewhere around there, price was hitting. Okay, great. So now we can see that price hit the exact support around May 13th. And that was something we could have caught. Maybe it was something we did caught at that time. I'd have to go check the previous videos. But this is what we need to do. Okay, what do we do next? Step number 6. Repeat. All right, let's repeat. Identify the most recent change of behavior. Sword cut areas. What was the recent change behavior and sword cut areas? The recent change of behavior was when price broke here. Health appeared there. Okay. By the way, I'm now going to draw this officially with a curved parabolic tool, and I'm going to delete this highlighter since this is no longer the focus. Oops. Okay. Now we drew this professionally, the parabolic. We identified the change of behavior here. The change of behavior was on April 3rd. Now just say we didn't see price come back and pull back at that time. Okay? We didn't see price pull back at that time. We just saw that there was a change of behavior from the flow of price. And we just saw it here on April 29th. Okay? Price came up and is in there. So April 29th. And just give us maybe 2 candles out, 2 or 3 candles out, May 2nd, somewhere around there. That's when we saw the first change of behavior. Okay, what can we do after that? Repeat. The trend was down. Okay. The new behavior is up. That's the correct price. Okay. That's the correct flow. So identify the most recent change of behavior. Identify the most recent trend. The most recent trend was down. the new trend is up. Okay, step number 3. Identify the wrong direction. If the trend is up, what is the wrong direction? Again, it is down. The downtrends. Any downtrends would be the wrong direction. Okay, now we're going to cut time in half. All right, let's cut the time in half. From a daily chart, we're going to go to where? What is it? You got this. From a daily chart, we go to the 12-hour chart. The answer is 12-hour chart. So we're going to click on there. We're going to go to 12-hour. I don't see 12-hour. I don't see it. You need to add it. You can click on add interval right there, and there you go. You can type in whatever time. So I can click on 12. Now I already added 12, but just say I didn't. See, it says minutes. I go to the minutes, and I can change it to hours if you wanted to. Okay. Now I'm not going to add it because I already added it. But if you don't see it, that's how you do it real quick. There you go. Make it easy for you guys. Okay. Now we're going to click on that 12-hour chart. We're going to go back to where our arrow where we marked the new change of behavior, which was here, and we marked the behavior here. So we now know from the steps we have, we're going to identify the most recent change of behavior, which we did. That was down. And now we're in a new up behavior. We're going to identify the most recent trend. That trend from this section here now is up again. Great. Great. Okay, now the next step, identify the wrong direction. We don't want to be taking the down trades. We want to be looking up because there's been a big change on the higher daily chart that we just found. Okay, all right, great. And now, what are we looking for? We're looking for the down trends because the down trends are going to be the ones that help us to find the entry. So we're going to identify the wrong direction. Okay, if price is up, the wrong direction is down. Now we're going to cut the time in half, which we just did. And now, so step number 5, we're going to cut the wrong direction and repeat. Okay, so now we're on this new 12-hour chart. We're going to look for when price is trending the wrong direction. So far, so good. And here we can see the first consistencies of the wrong direction. Here, look at my chart. Here we have a high. Here we have a lower high. Here we have a low. And here we have a lower low. It is in these areas here that price is trending the wrong direction because there's been a larger behavior change on the larger time frame. Remember with this that we showed you guys in the picture just now. So if you're cutting the price, you want to cut it when it's trending in the wrong direction. And there's your new behavior change right there. So price is going the wrong direction here. New behavior change when price breaks above this area. Okay, so what do? We do the same thing we just did. What does it say? Step number 6 is repeat. Okay, let's repeat it. All right, now it's simple, right? So we're going to copy this daily for the first change of behavior. We're going to take that daily chart arrow and we're going to duplicate it. And again, this is just a tool, a marker tool to help you when you're getting this method down. It really simplifies what you're doing. So change your behavior here. And this chart is a 12-hour chart, so we're going to change the text to 12-hour. So now we now know the day area, we know the week area, we know the week area, we know the day area. We now are going to know the 12-hour. We'll just keep repeating this process. Okay, 12-hour area was around 5 p.m. That block of time, that block of 12-hour blocks on May 13th. A new change of behavior to the upside. Okay. And notice how I'm leaving the arrow up. If the change was to the downside, it'd be a down arrow. Okay, 12-hour. And we can even put it here. Change of, behavior. Okay. There it is. Okay, what do we do next? We're going to identify the most recent changes of behavior. Price is changing to the top side. Number 2, identify the most recent trend. Okay, the most recent trend was down. We are now in healthy territory, so the trend in this last segment here, from here to here, is up. Okay? You can see that we've been going up here from here to here. Okay, on this 12-hour chart. Then we're going to identify the wrong direction. So if the trend is up, the wrong direction is when price is going down. Okay? Then we're going to cut the time in half. Okay? By the way, these are like guidelines. Even though we're cutting the time in half now, you could cut the time in half sooner once you identify that change in behavior. Some of them are interchangeable in that sense. But what's important is that you complete the steps so that you are getting in the habit of knowing how to bring this into your world. All right. We're going to look for TRX. Okay. Here we go. Let's go back into the 6-hour chart. That's our cut. A new time. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where did it go? And, there we are. Okay, here we are. So now we've identified a lot of things. We got all the way down to a 12-hour chart from a weekly chart trade. Okay? A weekly chart trade. And if we were looking for any consistencies here, I don't really see them just yet. Okay, we see all the uptrends. We know that we're comfortable to take prices in these areas if you guys were looking for the trade. And we've now identified, and I'm going to put this green line here, by the way, just to recap what we found. Okay, do you see this green line here? I'm going to bring it up really bold. Keep an eye on that. We're going to give it a price, by the way. 0.0. Now let's go back to the story. How many entries did we find in that method that we used? We found one in this segment here, which is about right here for the average price from the weekly chart that we found. Then the second entry we found from the daily chart was here. Now we can use both of those to make money. The weekly for a longer term trend and trade, such as the one we're finding right now on H-bar, or recently on Tron, the daily chart that we showed at the beginning of this example. Here's one entry. Here's two entries based on sword cut and that flow that's in the smaller area. And now, based on this 12-hour chart, we found another entry here at those prices. 3 different entries, and all can be used to trade depending on your comfort level. Some people want one of the trade, and sometimes price is going to take off after them after just one major confirmation. Again, here's the weekly one that we saw. Okay, in white, there's the change of behavior. That was that first trade right there. 1, daily chart. 2, based on this flow, here, at sword cut. And number 3, the 12-hour chart, here. Now this is textbook example of how this should look. Now there's cases when it's going to go from, you're not going to see anything on the 12, and you're going to need to go lower until you can see it, and so you may go to a 6. But that's basically the process. So now we're at a 6-hour time frame. And just say we're only using the 6-hour time frame. I don't want to trade on the 6-hour time frame. Okay, once price starts going up, you took your entry here. Price is going up for you. All right, great. Price is going up now in this section. What's the trend? The trend is up. What are we doing? The steps again. Identify the most recent change of behavior. What was the most recent change of behavior? Right there. We marked it. 12-hour chart. We could change this also to a 6-hour. Okay, you could change that to a 6-hour because this is a 6-hour chart and it's still the same exact. It's only when it's really dramatic. And you do not have to be so like, it's not exactly a 6-hour chart. Don't get caught up in that type of section. Okay, if you see it on a 6, draw it on the 6. If you see it on the 12, draw it on the 12. But where you see it, draw it, and that's where you can use to mark it so you understand what happened in the story. It's one thing to look at a chart, guys, and forget all the little things that happened along the way that was causing you to be on the right side of price. But if you just catch these simple flows and follow these 5 steps, the 6 steps, which is repeat, then what you're going to do is you're going to find these types of multiple entries in whatever time frame you're looking at. So right now we're on the 6. So let's just say, hey, we can change this to a 6 because it looks even better on a 6. Okay, 6 hour. Now, what's the next step? We identify the trend. Change this to white again. And the highs are getting higher. So higher lows and higher highs. What is the wrong direction? Step number 3, identify the wrong direction. If the correct trend is up, and that's correct because there was a trend change in behavior here, then what is the wrong direction in this example? The same one as always. The answer is, the wrong direction is down. So can we find any consistencies in the down moves? All right. What are we going to do that? We're going to go number 4, cut the time in half. Change this time scale. All right, let's cut the time in half and see if we see anything. A 6 hour goes to a 3 hour. 3. Okay. And from a 3, again, we can go to a 1 hour chart. You can also go to a 2 hour chart if you want to. Okay. So here we are. Here's where in this smaller time frame. Now check this out. You may not see this because it's all the candles are basically just one flow. But if we continue to cut that time in half, you're going to see this. And again, remember, don't get so caught up too much on just, if you don't see anything at 6, go to a lower time frame. Go to the 3. If you don't see any 3, go to the 2 or go to the 1. If you don't see anything there, then go to the 30. Okay, this is going to help you. That's why we have it in a video format so you guys understand. Okay, I'm going back to this area. Am I starting to see something here? Yeah, we're looking for when price is now going the wrong direction in step number 4. What is the wrong direction? We knew the wrong direction is down. Here in this segment, I can see that price is starting to go down and flow down. Even though it's been flowing up, that was correct. The up move was correct. It's the down moves that are the wrong direction. Okay, and then step number 5, cut the wrong direction. Okay. Remember for step number 4 about changing the time scale, that could be any of these steps. But we're looking to cut the wrong direction now. All right, wrong direction and then cut the wrong direction. Okay. Maybe in the revised edition I will change it around. Let's cut it in half again, the time in half again here, number 1. We're going to change it to a 1 hour chart. And this should look a little bit more better. You're going to have to push. I'm pinching and pulling just to see where we're at. And that's just because price is always going to be tempted to go to the most recent time frames. But here. So now we found our major entry here back on a 6 hour. And we're looking for other ways, other intraday charts. And on this 1 hour, I can see clearly, even though the candles are starting to look very choppy, I can see definitely a strong consistency here that we can cut. Okay. I'm going to do it even more just to be more severe. Okay. 30-minute chart. And this is just to simulate. Maybe you didn't see it at that time. Maybe you didn't see the consistency at that time. Fine. That's absolutely fine. Is it a process? Absolutely. Yeah, was it right here? Yeah, there was. Oh no, that was this month, this example. We're going back. See? All right. So say you were like, I don't see anything. Now you turned up a smaller time frame until you saw something and you saw the down move. What were you looking for the whole time? You were looking for the wrong direction. Next, number 3. This changes your thinking a little bit because you're normally just looking, oh, when is price going to go up? Want to go up because you saw the change of behavior up. But to make money doing this, you're going to need to think a little bit differently. You're going to have to look for the wrong direction and cut those time frames. Step number 5. Here you can see it more clearly. All price was slowly going up for all this time. And that's not going to help you. But what can help you get on the right side of price? Here we go. You can see the flow of price. There's your consistency. Shoot all of your ducks in a row. Right there. So now we can bring this into our world here. And we can see that the change of behavior happened now. Let's add the time frame. On this day, May 19th, 2023 at 3:30 a.m. So now we're using a 1 hour time frame, and we know the change of behavior. And we can do things like the sword cut, by the way, at the change of behavior. When price crosses over from one side to the other, the same thing we teach in dive when we're doing recaps. When price crosses over, there's been a change of behavior, and now we got to pull back to the sword cut pretty exact. Okay, if we're drawing that professionally, let's just give it the little rectangle treatment. There you go. There's your entries. Price came back. Some of the best prices you can take is here. We're never guaranteed anything, but this makes a more higher probability. If you know the overall trend was up and you saw the consistencies in the down moves, but they were broken, this was the fish fighting against the stream, the weaker fish in the battle. Okay? I need to tell you just a quick story. There was a man who was said to have raised dogs to fight. And he raised these dogs to fight, and people would come to bet on his fighting dogs. And these dogs would fight, and whoever would win would be able to make a lot of money betting on these dogs. Sometimes people would win, and sometimes people would lose. But the owner always won. He always won. And they asked him one day, "How do you always win?" And one day he confided in a friend that he had. And he said, "The reason I always win is because I know which one will win. And I know which one will win. The one that wins is always the dog that I feed." Both will act aggressively towards one another. In fact, the starving dog may act even more aggressively. But because it hasn't eaten, it's weaker and may not have the energy to overcome the stronger opponent. In the markets, look at the markets, it's the same principle. If you can understand the stronger dog in the game, the stronger energy, which we understood from the story, right? We knew all the stronger energy here. If all of that is bullish and we're still well within the side of trade, say we use the lesson of foundational energy, all right, from lesson number 9. We saw that these are the areas here. If price is way over here, we still got safety nets way down here. So I know that for the most part, I'm still safe to take entries when price is up here, as long as we're having breaks in those areas. Like we can cut price way up here. I know my safety net is way down here, so I might be more apt to take this type of trade. And this is a 30-minute chart. Okay? This is a 30-minute chart. So now we can see entries in our world in these days. Let's type it on that arrow. Here, we're going to type the same thing. 30-minute wow. Okay? Change of push. Okay? The arrow's up. So now we're able to find another entry that may be our cup of tea. In this case, it's a sword cut pullback. I love those types. That's round action into the pullback. That's my cup of tea. I like that kind of trade. Give me that type of trade. I'll trade that kind of stuff all day long because I like it. And is where we're going to just do a highlighter in green. All right. And if we were drawing that professionally, it would just look like either a parabolic or a straight. In this case, it's a straight. Okay? We're not even drawing key angles, not even drawing channels. We're just drawing the trend, which is a key angle, by the way. But we're not drawing step-ups or any of that, the complicated. We're just using simple tools. If this seems a little bit too advanced for you, I want you to go back and I want you guys to watch the previous lesson number 9, the foundational pairs lesson. Okay? It's going to teach you a lot about that. That's from our previous lesson number 9. We did this one last week. And this will help you start identifying how to draw those types of trends. Now we're building on what we learned and bringing this into your today. Okay? We're bringing this into your today. All right. Now I won't get more complicated than that for this particular entry. And the reason we're not going to go deeper than that for this particular entry is because these candles get messy. And this is where you want to stop. When the candles get too messy, you're going to want to stop doing this because it can really mess you up. For example, if I go to now a say a 5-minute chart for this. I want you to look at these candles. Can you guys read that? It's difficult to read. You're going to need to use the scrunch up that we talked about in other previous lessons. We're going to need to scrunch that time, and then we can see the flow better. And even then, it might be a little bit difficult for you to do. So please be careful when your candles stop making sense. They stop making sense because there's such a low volatility in a lot of crypto markets. That makes sense for you. So if you guys are intraday trading, this is why sometimes it's not always advisable to intraday trade, because you'll be entering, and if you're looking this on a 5-minute chart, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down, and you're like, I don't understand this. Prices trend well in longer terms, but in shorter terms they don't. So I might be waiting, if the entry's on a 30-minute time frame, I might be looking for a larger trade that may last maybe a day, maybe 2 days, okay, until there's a break in that foundational health. But right now we're just talking about how to do entries. Okay, now let's go back into, we're going to do another example in this same Tron. Because I told you guys in today's example we're going to use Tron. And then after that we're going to look at PLI and Ethereum and identify. Now I haven't taken a look at those, but it should be the same principles. All right, so we found entries that were these ones all in these areas here, one, and then we found those ones that we just talked. This is a 30-minute chart. On this chart, can you also identify the other consistencies when price is going the wrong direction? We've already identified that the wrong direction is down. So when we see price trending down, we follow the steps. Step number 5, cut the wrong direction. All right, let's do it. Look at this. And then we're going to get into some of the other examples. But it's really fun. Here's price trending. There, about right there is where you want to take the trade. This is price trending down. You can see the flow of price is down. Change of behavior here. That's where the entry is. Here, you can see price flowing from this peak here. Draw that. And when you see the bottom bowed like that, think parabolic as well. There's your entry. Those are more entries from the previous entry. So we had one, the pullback, and these as breakouts. These ones being the more dangerous ones. These ones being the more safer at sword cut. But once price takes off, sometimes it's just the break. When you see those downtrends, you continue. Okay? And how long can we keep this up? Until the foundational line is broken. Somewhere here, that's when the game stops. That means that we can continue this all the way. Let me clone that line out. Somewhere around here, we can continue that. Okay? Here's the down consistencies. There's your entry. Sword cut. Failed sword cut. Came back to sword cut underneath. Pull back to the sword cut. You get out with no loss. And that happens quite a bit with sword cuts. That's why I love sword cut entries the best. Because they have that type. Okay? I should leave that on just for your sakes. At least so you can use this as practice. Okay. Now I'm going to clear this. And we're going to now get into the next example on Tron. Back to a weekly chart. Alright, so this one was complete. Done. Let's fade this away. Let's use this. This is how we can master a chart. Alright? That's how we can beat it. The flow of price is up. We're making higher lows. Okay? And higher highs. The flow of price is up. Okay? And then all of a sudden, when we took those peaks from here to here, the energy centers, here and here, we can see that there was a change of behavior here. Okay? So we can draw those and see the change of energy quick. So somewhere in here, there was a change of behavior. And so now we're trading on the downside. In this segment here, we're only now looking for downtrends. Okay. From here on, we're now looking when price is going the wrong direction. Now we're gonna do this systematically. Okay. So I'm gonna draw this trend line professionally real quick so you guys have it. We're gonna draw this foundational area. And this may not be the best foundational area, but I'll tell you this. One of them is round action right here. Okay? That nice round action in here, connected to the peak, is enough for us to draw this new trend line. So this old one, we fade away. And this one we're going to bring out to be our prominent trend line. Okay? Let's make this red just so you guys can understand it for just a moment. Change of behavior here. So what should we do for the purposes of this lesson? We should mark it now with a down move, a down arrow. So we're going to take the down arrow and we're going to put it on that week or about that week. And then we're going to type it in text. And we're going to put white and we're going to put weekly change of behavior. And we know it's a down, so it's going to be down. And I don't want it to be as a red arrow for me to think signal. I'll just make it a gray. So I now know that there's a change of behavior to the downside sometime after this week. All right, let's go to the steps. Identify the most recent change of behavior. We did that. Number 2, identify the most recent trend. That should be now a down trend. Price in this segment from here to here, or from at least from here to here, we can see that price is now going down. Lower highs and lower lows. That's great. That means price is going down. Okay. Identify the wrong direction. The wrong direction is now up. When price is trading up, we do not want to be trading up at this moment. Not until the new foundational lines are established, which would be somewhere on top of here in that segment. So until we get to that side of the line, I don't want to be trading any buys. We only want to be shorting. That means we only want to take the downtrends. Identify the wrong direction. The wrong direction again is up. Cut the time in half. Okay, now remember, step number 4 is interchangeable. We can cut the time in the beginning. We can even cut it down until we see something. Then we're going to cut the wrong direction after we cut the time in half. All right, so let's change the time. Let's go to a daily chart. And we're going to be looking around the season of this arrow that we saw. Right there, that arrow. Okay, we're looking because price crossed over that red line into this territory. And when we crossed over into that territory, we now know there's a change of behavior like we just identified. So let's go. Daily chart. Weekly change of behavior. There's our arrow again. Good. We didn't change that. So we know the weeks. We know approximately the weeks. It could be that month sometime. And now the wrong direction, and price is trending fine, right? That's great. It's trending fine. It did not pull up to, we could have drawn sword cut at this area if you want to. And let's just mark it where it would be. Okay. And now we're going to be looking for when price is trending the wrong direction. Price is trending up. That's the one we want to cut. Okay, so we're going to just scroll. Oh, look, there's price trending up right here. Right there in that little box. So let's look. See how this is price going up in this direction? Let's mark it with white. Okay, let's just look in this area. Now, for the purpose of this, I'm going to turn it on to I'm going to cut the price at half again, because I remember I told you guys can really cut those prices in half if you need to, if you're not seeing it. But try to see it, my friends. Try to see it. All right, here we go. Right, here's where we're going. So now in this segment here, we can see prices trending up. The lows are getting higher and the highs are getting higher. So that means price is going up. And we can cut that foundational area like we did from lesson number 9. Here's the energy centers. Here's the flow of price. Here and here. Let's cut them. Okay? Screenshot for your record so you can practice. If we're cutting it professionally, it's going to look like that. Okay? Now let's make this line a little bit thinner. Now what we're going to be doing is the same thing we did. We're going to borrow that weekly marker up here. We're going to clone it out, and I'm going to bring it all the way down to that change of behavior here. Where was the change of behavior? About right here. What time frame are we using? 12-hour chart. Click on there. Change from weekly, the word weekly. I'm going to change it to 12-hour. Change of behavior. Because it is on this 12-hour chart that we can find our next entry. So what we can do, I'm just going to put a little highlighter and we're going to mark it, and we're going to put a red for entry. So we found now 2 entries, one up here and one here. All right. Now that's amazing. And in this case, what is the next thing? Prices now going down again. Okay, so all this is correct. The next change of behavior, and we can actually see consistencies, the next change of behavior may when price goes up. But because we're still within the larger time frame, we may not want to be taking any buy trades. But if you were, you would know that the price should have a change of behavior about there. Okay, so from here, price should go up to the higher side. Okay, but you may not want to take that because it's not in alignment with the larger trade. Okay, the larger trends that we identified. Okay, but that's when you know you got to stop trading this 12-hour chart. So let's take this a little bit step further. So I'm on the 12-hour chart. I'm trading, but I'm also watching the foundational areas that went into that new down trade. And I don't want to be taking any more down trades until there's been a change of behavior in the foundational area, like we talked about in lesson number 9, whether you're drawing straights or you're drawing the parabolics because of the flow of price. You know that it's now dangerous to continue any of those shorts. But if you are looking for those shorts and you entered the shorts, we entered that one, we marked that one. What's the next consistency? It would have been here. I would have been looking for a trade under this area if we got it. The only thing is, we never got it. Do you see that? It just went into infinity. But that would have been your next entry. If we were in shorting territory, I would be looking for more entries down here on the smaller time frames. But this was never gotten. Okay. Let me mark that in red. And that's how you guys can use that to your advantage and use that ability. Because this is going to be the area that you're looking for. Now, we knew there was a change of behavior to the upside, so you may be still looking for the upside. Let's see how far away we are from that major weekly trend. It's way up here, so I have time to trade until we hit sword cut areas over here. And you can see, by the way, when price finally did hit the sword cut, we went down. So this is how we can collect what we've learned and use it in more new and positive ways. Okay, bringing our daily into our current life. Now let's go back to our major trend here. We can see that this was on that weekly chart. We also had that foundational area, and so just say we were taking trades up and down here and here using these same techniques. The new change of behavior happened here. Let's go back to the weekly chart. And now let's go into some more trades. So now we took a few long trades in the beginning. We took a few short trades. Okay. Just a few. Now let's fade this out. And we're going to finish up these before we get into a PLI as an example. And in Ethereum, we're going to look at this weekly chart. And this is the one that's actually happening now. So you guys understand Tron, why I'm bullish Tron. Okay. Foundational area. We talked about this in lesson number 9. Foundational areas from this energy center here and here. This is the trend line. That's most recent. The steps. Identify the most recent change of behavior. Identify the most recent trend. The most recent trend is down. So that means we do not want to take the buy trades until the trend is broken. It was broken here where this white dot is. Let's mark it on a map. Okay, we marked it on the map here. Let me make the opacity. Okay. In this week here, that's the week we're looking at. April 17th. Oh, wait. Yeah, the last one we did was that one. And now we're doing this one up here. Same examples. Oh, wait. You know what I did? I'm sorry, I did something wrong. When we did our first example, I meant to look at this one. But I actually used this weekly one. And I mixed it up with this break. There's actually 2 major breaks. And I wanted to give you guys both of that example. So for now, I'm going to do this previous one. I do apologize. I'm doing this in bad order. I meant to do this one. Let's give this a new color so I don't lose track of it. You guys are supposed to catch me. Let's just change it yellow so I don't lose track of it. If this is the break on the weekly chart, we marked it with the white in the beginning. Let's now go to that area, that same area. We're on the daily chart, which we are on the daily chart now. We're looking now to follow the steps. The steps are identify most recent change of behavior, identify the most recent trend. Trend is up, higher lows, higher highs. Identify the wrong direction. The wrong direction is when price is trending down. Then we're going to cut the wrong direction. We already cut times in half, but we're going to cut the wrong direction. The wrong direction is when price is trending down. Price is trending down here in this area. Let's cut these times in half and see what we can find here. Okay, I'm looking for the yellow trend line. Way back here. It's because I have to keep scrolling. Okay. Now, if we were looking up, we're doing fine because the major trend behavior has been positive for us, right? We knew that from here price should start going up, and it has been going up. Okay, that's fantastic. But when is it trending the wrong direction? It started trending the wrong direction here, and you can see it on the 12-hour chart. It would probably look better on a 6-hour chart. Let's do it again. Scroll, 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 scroll. Super scroll. Where is price? There we are. Scroll, scroll. All the scrolling is why I mixed up the two examples I wanted to teach you. But here it is. Here's when price was trending, and when you see these bowls, price bowing like that, when you see all the flow of price bowing, think parabolic. And that means you got to think parabolic on top. Change of behavior here. So on this example, you would put your arrow to the upside, and you now on August 29th of 2020 at 5 a.m. on a 6-hour chart, there was a new change of behavior to the upside. All right. Change of behavior, 6-hour. Let's take a screenshot. Where's the next time price was trending the wrong direction? Here, with price coming back to here. Okay, small charts. At the same time, pay attention to those foundational areas. Here's that weekly chart, right? There's that weekly entry. What's the foundational areas? Look at the flow of price. There. This is your last support. That's all you got. Once price comes on this side of price, your buy trades are done. Here, in this case, price phased through here. So there, I do not want to be looking for any more buys. Any more buys. The last consistency we would have had in this area would have been about right here. But then you lost your entry. Okay. Price came back to this area and should have gone down, right? Yep. Okay. So you do not want to be taking entries once you're here. You can be really asking for trouble. Okay. You're going to waste your time, waste your money. Okay. Now we're going to continue this lesson in a different way, because I think I did a good job on explaining a lot of Tron. And you guys can come back to this chart and find and practice a lot more, because there's a lot more entries on here, a lot more other consistencies. When you can see those consistencies, you can draw those consistencies, draw them on the time scales that you see them, always starting with the top and then going down. Okay. If we're going back to those exact areas here, you might block out the consolidation here. You might block out these peaks. You might say, hey, let's just cut all of this together. And you can see that there's a shortcut right there where price came up and pulled back down to here. That's something you guys can do. If you're just trading the flat blocks, you can do things like that and look for your entries. I like this chart. It was a good example. I think it's a good example. By the way, your new trend is this. We have a channel for Tron. And in the most recent case, all the health came in here. And that's where you're at right now with Tron. Remember, as I began in the opening video, we're all in this healthy territory of Tron. The down trades are the ones that are incorrect here. So we're looking for the breakouts. We're looking for the shortcuts. We're looking for the pullbacks when price is trading the wrong direction. Here, price is not going up, but rather just causing a multi-flat. And then we get the pullback here. And that was what happened in the past few days. Here's the last consistency. We're going to show it on that 6-hour chart. And There's your consistency. We drew it in a dotted line. The break, there's your health, that's your entry. What's the next entry? Okay, price is going up, price is trending up. Let's go to a 3-hour chart, and then we're going to go to a 1-hour chart. We could go to a 2 as well. When price is trending the wrong direction, when it's trending down, because the red direction is up in this case. So price trend down here. Do we see any consistencies in that? We might see a flat. Look at this. There's your multi-flat. Price broke above this area and now sit on here. So for me, that would probably be a good number entry. We're in the uptrend. That would be the next good entry for Tron. The last time that happened was down here with these tops. See it? You got an entry. You got an entry. That's good. This is happening now. This is a 1-hour chart. So I might get some more Tron today. Okay. In fact, right now I'm going to get some Tron after this video. It's a 1-hour chart. You got a little time. Let me set a reminder. Siri, remind me in 1 hour to buy some Tron.
Okay, I added it.
Don't forget it. Okay, tutorial. Next part of the tutorial. We finished all of what I wanted to teach you guys today, using Tron as a perfect textbook example of how we can pull the higher time frames into your now world using very just simple method. Just once you get good, if you only got good at one trend line, you do that trend line. You may not get all the entries, but you can get them. Now I promised that I was going to look at PLI and Ethereum. So we're going to start with Ethereum. And what I'm going to do is I'm not looking at this like normal, but we are going to look and use this as an example today. Okay. On Ethereum, on the weekly chart, we can see that price is in an uptrend. Okay, on the higher time frames. The highs are getting higher. The lows are getting higher. We're in an uptrend. Okay. There has been some more developments on the daily charts. We have foundational areas based on this round structure here. Health would have entered in this area here. There's some health in that area. Okay. In addition, in the smaller time frames, we're going to identify some more things. Okay. Uptrend, weekly chart. Great. Where was the last major change of behavior? It was probably here in that area. The next areas it would have been was if we get below here, that's something we got to watch for negativeness, from bearishness. And let's see. Let's say find all our consistencies. Foundational support, bullish foundational support here. All right. So those are going to be some of our last changes of behavior. That means there would have been some health in this area right here. Let me bring this up and we're going to put weekly chart. Okay, weekly. We also are going to be paying attention to this angle here. Weekly. We're going to put this on the bottom. We're going to be continuing to be bullish as long as we're on top of these areas for Ethereum. Okay, for Ethereum. In addition, what if we know that we're looking for bullishness on here, okay, based on the supports and based on the break and the resistance, what is the wrong direction for Ethereum? Somebody tell me. I need to make sure you guys understand the concept. We're following the steps from our process. What is the wrong direction for Ethereum right now? If on the major time frames we're going higher and we're still within those territories, which we speak about in lesson 1. Down, says Angela. Down, says Angie. Yes, that is correct. Down. So we're going to be going on a hunt on smaller time frames for the down trends. Okay. Identify recent changes of behavior. We did that. Identify recent change. Recent trend. That's step 1 and 2 we completed. Now let's go into 3 and 4. Change the time in half and identify the wrong trend. All right. We're now going on the hunt for the downtrends on the daily chart. All right. Where's the downtrends on this daily chart? It's right there on this dotted line. Isn't that fantastic? On this dotted line, we're looking for the downtrends. We knew exactly where to look at because we have a very consistent down move with small hidden valor, by the way. You can draw it here if you want to. I'm not going to draw it right now, but you could. Very consistent down move. And this is also a good time to let you guys know when I'm doing this privately for my personal life and I'm looking for it, I'll just draw a dotted white line. That's how I like to draw, so when I know I'm specifically looking for breaks. So we can see that price came back up to this area here, and we're hunting now for what? The break. Here. Where we can see price popped up and hit this line here. We're waiting for the break for price to break up to the positive side of price. Because that's going to keep us in alignment with the major trend. And we want to be trading with the trend. We don't want to be really trading against the trend because we can find ourselves in a very bad position if that's the case. But as we follow the steps number 3 and 4, the wrong direction is the down move. We're waiting for price to get back on board with the overall trend from steps 1 and 2. In this case, it's up. So the down moves were the one we're waiting for the break. Therefore, when price comes on this side, you know everything you need to know. You know you're ready to go. Especially if we get pullbacks to sword cuts. Because it's already in alignment with the larger trade. Okay? The larger health entered here. Okay? And we didn't pull back to sword cut. We actually went underneath sword cut. But we're still within the foundational areas of these previous moves. So we still got some backup time to play. Now this one's a little bit more complex, but they asked me to look at it. We knew for a few weeks, and you guys all see these images on Dive too, by the way, when we did the Ethereum recap. Larger train up. I said this back then. I said Ethereum has hit target number 1. As it has already hit, this means that there's still some hell in this crypto. I would wait until the next area of weaknesses appear. So we wouldn't want to trade until weaknesses appear for the short side, but we're looking now for the hell. Okay, here some weaknesses to the upside on the smaller time frames. Price came up to here and came back down, but look, all of those changed up in alignment with that larger fish. So if we get caught up in the smaller stuff, sometimes you can miss the larger trends if you're not paying attention. It's good to pay attention while we're in the smaller time frames, but don't forget the foundational areas are what caused that in the first place, which I talked about in our previous Tron example. Let me give you another hint about this. If all you saw was this larger move, you can take all the down consistencies if you see them. Trade here, the down consistencies when price is trending up. Okay? You can take those as shorts, but you cannot trade those, any of those shorts. You cannot trade them past the health of the foundation from lesson number 9 last week. The foundation in this example is here. How did it all start? The egg method. I showed you use the egg method. Draw and focus on the foundational area. If it's broken, you cannot trade it. This one's broken to the upside. There's no longer any shorts for this. But if you're following the major trend, you shouldn't have any problems because you know that the major trend is still bullish anyway. So you should only be thinking in alignment with that major trend as long as it's still active. Okay? This one is here. Now, if this is broken to the positive side, when is the time? This means that we can only take bullish trades. When can we take bearish trades? And that is when the foundation has been broken. What caused this to start? The foundation. If I flip it around, you're going to see it clearly. Okay? I'm flipping this around. Here's your trend line. You can now take bearish trades if this was the case. And what's the foundation? How would it all start? Here. These two areas, 1 and 2. So that means that you can take bearish trades now until price breaks above. Okay? But that's not the case because I flipped it upside down. I'm just showing you how it works so you can read it. And all these classes are about teaching you how to read. Okay. So if you guys want more on that, focus on lesson number 9 from last week. Watch the video lesson. Okay, so we're all bullish for Ethereum based on these breaks, and we're waiting for those breaks to happen, and a break happened just a few days ago. Great. So that's good. And where might we be going for Ethereum? Now we can measure in this area our target trading for our first targets from lesson number 8. Where is my target trading? Whoa. Where is it at? Oh, it's gone. Okay, I'm going to get it back. Fixed range volume profile. Okay, here we go. All right, first targets would have been about here. Second target's going to be way up here. Oh, that's good. All right, so for Angela, I think it was Angela, there's going to be a target for you about right here and those prices, and that might be something, if you're bullish, you may not want to take any profit until you hit some of those targets. We may experience some resistances at the peaks here, and right now you hit the congestion area. Sometimes price will use these as springboards. Watch the congestion areas as a springboard. So you may want to take some profit in this area right now for Ethereum. Otherwise, just wait till you hit your main target number 2, which is going to be 2,051. Current price is 1,075. You're still within range to hit that. It's still about 12% more on there. Yeah, it's in alignment with the major trend. Keep an eye on that foundation area here. That one might be signifying your next entry if you wanted an entry. For the positive side, a second entry that's more healthy. You can keep an eye on that. Okay. Otherwise, you're basically at your first of your targets. Okay. Actually, I should borrow that and put it here. Okay, and we'll move on.
2051 is a good price to sell.
I would, yeah, everything in this video is not financial investment or trading advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. Bear in mind, I eat crayons for breakfast. And so should you. Trading in the market carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. This is very consistent with this foundational area here, this peak right here. If I'm drawing this professionally, you may want to take profit today based on this.
What is the price today? 170.
You can see that we hit your target up here. That's the foundational area. So price could still come down. But if I was, you may want to consider that since you hit your target and it just happens to be also a congestion area, you may, based on order block, you may want to take profit here and walk away from the table and come back in the table if you have another change of behavior to the positive side, which means you're on this side of the white line again. Right now you're not there, so it may be dangerous. But if you do get there, you may want to consider taking another trade to your target. Otherwise, check out.
So the first target is
breaking. 1844 approximately, and that's based on all the energy that was happening from here to here. When it comes to order block, there's energy here that's as far as congestion, and energy here that's going to be your highest peak in that area. Usually when price breaks, those are telling. They're not the targets, but they're telling. But the reason that this is important right now is because it just happens to be a resistance at the time that these intercepts as resistance. So you could look at that like a vortex. Price is in that little pocket, and it may come back down because of it. So you could walk away with some loss on the table. But if Bitcoin continues to pump, it could bring the markets up because it changes market sentiment. So that's something you may want to consider. But if it does, the best thing about this is you already know where the next entry would be. And it would be almost at the same prices, except for it's not in this time. And if it's today, it needs to be higher, at higher prices. Right, 1873, and later on, it just needs to be above these areas, 1841 area. But it needs to be on this side of the line. So you got time. If price comes back down, you could play around for a while and hit and come down, or it could play around for a while and then finally face through to the happy side. But as long as you're drawing it right now, the high side would be up here. Later on, it's much, much easier, even if the prices don't change. But we don't trade based on price alone. We trade based on the angle. And right now, that angle is telling. Okay, get you above that angle, then you can get back in. It may be the same price and it may seem redundant, but you're going to be safer because you walked away with money on the table. And you also know where the next entry is. And it's almost the same area. But you should have confirmation if you want to. And then that would be a comfortable trade. I'd feel comfortable taking that trade too. But right now, I wouldn't want to get in right now today because I'm risking it. It's too risky for me to get in right now as well because we're still on the underside of here. We're still in the downtrend for this short term. Okay.
Today is 1782. Is it?
Yeah, right now it's a very wide spring. I was gonna say that, and that's a little bit scary for you too, by the way. The current prices are 1782, and the peak was 1873. Now that peak was based on that foundation. Okay, if I'm drawing this on the weekly chart, it's even more severe, and I'm gonna show you real quick. Here, that's the angle on the weekly. So if you can close above here before the end of the week, but you got 4 days, that's a good sign that you're going to hit the next resistance and then continue going higher. That's a good sign. So right now how the candle is way above here. But if the candle closes right on that line again, that'd be bad. The lower daily chart, which is not as powerful as this weekly, is already beating this. Okay. Is already beating that weekly. But that daily, it doesn't override the daily. So it doesn't override the weekly because the weekly is higher. So I'm not giving that too much weight. On the daily, it gives me another angle altogether and it's up here. And that price did respond exactly in a negative way. We just spiked it and came right back down. So that's actually a sign that you're not going to go much more higher, at least anytime soon. We spiked where it needed to come for its target, for its resistance, and it didn't even close anywhere close to it. You're way down here. That's a big sign that there's a lot of resistance in this area. So you could be wasting your time for a little bit. So if it was me, I would take my profit today and then watch it every day until you get past the line. Okay? For you. Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Plot both of those lines too, by the way, the weekly and the daily. Mark them. You can type one weekly and the other you can type daily. The reason you need to is because in 4 days you need to check the weekly chart. If the candle is below there, that's even a more negative sign. So if you hadn't taken profit, take profit then. Okay, if the candle closes right underneath that line, that's a sign saying that there's still a lot of down pressure right there. So that's the two areas you're watching for. The first one's already hit, second one's here. That will be telling, okay? All right. I'm going to mark that right there, those 2 points. Okay. Let's go to the PLI. I promised I would look at PLI. We're going to look at on BitTrue. Okay. On the weekly chart, we have some good news. That you are on the positive side of price. We're going to be in here. It is very messy. Because we had some hidden ballers up here, but we had a change of behavior in the larger time frame here. Okay, so now we know we're looking for step 1 and 2. Identify the most recent changes of behavior. Identify the more recent trend. Okay, the recent trend has been down. The new behavior has been to the upside. So the new trend is to the upside. Okay, then steps 3 and 4, we're going to cut the time in half and we're going to identify price in the wrong direction. What's the wrong direction? If price is broken to the up, the trend is now up, the wrong direction is the down moves. So step number 5, we're going to cut the wrong direction. That means we're going to cut the down moves. Okay, and then we're going to repeat. So we're going to go change the time, cutting the time. And now we're looking for all the down moves and we're looking to cut the consistencies of the down moves. In this example, the consistency is price going down. Price is going against the direction of the major trend. The major trend change. The behavior is now higher. So we're looking for the up moves. Here's the trend right there that you're looking at. The foundational area is here and here. And we're waiting to cut the down move. Do we have an entry for PLI? Yes or no? Do we have an entry for PLI? We're waiting, we're cutting the down move, but has price given us a new entry? We're waiting to go with the major trend. Is it here? Yes or no? Entry? Who thinks there is? Who thinks there's not? Okay. No guesses? The answer is no. If this is the foundational area and we're waiting to jump on the train, we're hunting the down move. The down move's here. Woohoo! We got it. We know where to look. We're waiting for the break. But price is still right here. And it has not broken to the top side. Price needs to jump up in there and then we can get into the up trade again. And that will be in alignment with the bigger change of behavior. And that's how we can do that one. But there's no entry. There's no entry. Here back, what did we put it for? Okay, episode September 8th is in health. However, there's no setup yet. Price is descending rapidly. The support does not contain strong enough action, in my opinion, to slow this descent enough for a bullish rise. It may stop towards the sword cut, but overall, I highly suspect price may rise. Price may fall all the way to the top of the yellow parabolic. Therefore, I'm not extremely bullish this crypto until the foundation is more established. In addition, this crypto has been very high volatility and has many micro hidden battlers when examining the step ups. Okay, so I said price would come back to the yellow parabolic. Where's the yellow parabolic? That one. Where did price come back to? It came back there. When was this? September 9th. When was September 9th? September 9th, right here. Yeah, right here. Okay, so in that area, price came all the way back down to the yellow parabolic. Okay, we don't have a setup. I told you don't have a setup then, and you still don't have a setup now. But you may get one because the health appeared there on the larger time frame. So that's how we bring that into our world today. So you keep watching. Was this Angie? You asked for it, right? You keep watching this, and you're going to be surprised on that. You're going to be surprised when this does go into the health area. Otherwise, it may lose its setup and come back down into the channel. We can't have that, so you don't want to be entering right now. By the way, targets up here. When you do get that break, take the trade. Targets 1 and 2, 19 cents and 35 cents. Current prices 3 cents. That's massive. That is massive. Let me know if it hits, okay? Let me know if it hits. I want to enter that trade when it hits. Okay. In fact, let's put a little alert too, just in case, just to help. But I'm going to put a little timer. Crossing. The price we're looking to cross is approximately these higher numbers. It's going to be 0.0360 area. Okay. 0.036 area. Okay. And I'm going to say possible bullish trade up to hidden battler. Boom, baby. That'll be good. Okay. Create. Okay, so now I have a little alert there. All right. Let's go in. House showed. House. Praise God for you. I sure do love you, brother. I'm not doing recaps today, but I promised we were going to use that as an example from the tutorial. But I'll look at Gala quickly for you. You got some health that came in. Let's look at the story. Down. So the major trade on the higher time frames, the daily is the downtrend. So we want to be looking for shorts. That means we're going to cut the up moves, the up consistencies. Anytime price is trending higher. Okay, we're cutting that. Weakness, there's your short right there. Okay, the next time price is trending down within the channel still. Trending up, that's the one we're hunting. There's your sword cut. Price came back to the sword cut. There's your entry. Those are your entries. Price went down. Okay. Where does the down move end? So we can actually start taking bullish moves. That the answer to that is at the foundational areas. And right now the last foundational area we have is from here to here. It's a very wide because We already broke that one and continued down. So that means we now need to cut and draw the major trend. So the major trend is here. Health appears here. Now in the video, we already covered this. I already put some symbols up here. That's the fish symbol. The one I did in class was this one right here. Along this line, so we can mark that's when health is, that's when it's safe to buy. Until then, we're still short in this bad boy. Okay? All right, now we move into the smaller time frames. We can still cut all the down move, all the up moves. I don't have a recent up move that I can draw a consistency on. We're still about this angle. Okay? So I don't want to take my next short until we're about here. Unless I see a good reason, like price does that, and then I can take the short here. Until then, I don't want to be entering any shorts because there's no down consistency. In this trend, the trend is down. The smaller time frames from step number 3 and number 4, we're going to identify the wrong direction. The wrong direction is when price is going up because it's in a downtrend. So if I can cut those consistencies, that's fine. But right now, let's see. The last up move is here. Let's go to a 6-hour chart from this daily, from 12 to 6. But for time's sake, there is an up move here, but I don't have any trends I can connect. I just have this single line going up like this. That's why I'm not drawing anything for this. Okay. Whereas if you're in an uptrend, where's the next resistance? It's up here. So house, if I was you, I'd be riding this puppy. By the way, if you're starting at a lower time frame, there's your last entry here. But that's if you're going for smaller entries, and we're not going over all of that. I wouldn't be trading this trade. But if you are, take profit along this track. Otherwise, get back in once you break above and you're building above, and then you can take the trades up to the next major resistance. 027 and 018, those are your two resistance. Current price is at 0.015. You still got some time. Currently, from here to here is 15%, and here to here is 75%. Okay, two major behaviors. One move up to here, and then a break above, and then another move up to there. Okay, I hope that helps your house. Okay, all right, my friends, that goes all for today. Remember what we discussed. We'll cover it one more time. When we're in lesson 10, as we're cutting smaller, we're looking to bring the larger time frames into our smaller world. The maps are important because they help us see, but it's difficult to use them for short-term probability. How do I make money with this week? If there's opportunities, that daily chart's not going to help me make money. The weekly chart, it's going to help me with the longer term. It's going to help me position for wealth transfer. It's going to help me position for seasons. It's going to help me know what's the right side of price. It's going to help me know when price is trending the wrong direction. And that map is important. But how do we bring it into this world? You want to review this lesson. Tron was the perfect example. All those trades we found on Tron. You guys can do that in smaller time frames, even Forex and lots of different stuff. To bring the method in the smaller time frames, we need to follow the few steps. Steps 1 and 2, identify the major recent trends. You got to know what the trend is, and you got to know where that change of behavior is. Number 3, once you know what the main trend is, find the wrong directions. Make sure you cut the time in half, but you can change the time in half as soon as you identify the trend. So steps 3 and 4, what's the wrong direction? That's what you want to hunt for. That's the weak one. When the lions go out and hunt, they don't look for the strongest, biggest one. They look for the weakest one because that's what's going to give them the opportunity. That's what's going to give them the advantage. That's what's going to help them prey. They think like the smart money. And then what do we do with that? We cut it. We look for any consistencies, especially when price is trending. So if price is trending higher and higher, like the textbook example in Tron, I want to cut that high if I know that the major trend is down so I can continue shorting. If price is going higher in the major trend and I know in the shorter term it's going down, I want to cut that consistency going down and then continue to ride the wave. Ride that wave up. Okay? And then you repeat the process and you can go smaller and smaller time frame. Watch this episode. That was a great lesson. Perfect examples on Tron. Just perfect examples. So I hope you guys learned that today. Let us end today. By the way, if you guys we're coming to the very end of our SOAR lesson 5.0. I did want to just make an announcement. There's things I do want to add to 5.2 to the higher sword method, like 5.6.0. Currently, sword method is at 5.0. That's what we've been teaching for the past year. I do want to add price and time squared to sword method 5.0, but I cannot add it at this time. We're just not there. There's methods you can use using advanced calculators, and the whole goal with sword method is to teach you to approach charts from an art form, drawing. By your drawing skills, you guys can use it to help you save money or even make money when it comes to changes in financial markets. I'm trying to move away from math, and I'm trying to move away from a lot of advanced calculations and keep it as an art form. Keep it like you can look at it, see it, and draw it. And to do, there's certain rules and techniques, and this current method is I'm not currently ready to teach the time squared and the time cycles when it comes to sword method just yet in 5.0, but we will when we introduce time sword method 6.0. The other announcement I need to give you guys is that we've been working on a trade room. I've been working on something called a trade room privately. And this is a room where I would be posting my trades. And there's a few complications because you really need a team to do it. Because sometimes I may be in a trade, and if I'm in a trade but yet I'm busy with my son or I have to sleep or going, then you guys could be like, where's the entry? Where's the entry? Where's the exit? Where's the exit? If you guys are in an entry. And I may not be there for you guys. And that's the trouble I see when I'm practicing trade room. It's one thing for me to say, hey, I got in. And then it's another thing for you guys to know, okay, where's the extra entries or what new things happen. So especially when we're getting into multiple cryptos, it's very demanding for my time. And it's not the season for me to do that at this moment. There is something, but so that's still in the works. And one day we may do something like that. But I'd rather fund it. I'd rather fund a project like that and hire some people to continue to monitor those things or send out the notifications or to have some technologies where we can do something like that. And that's just not the season that we're in right now. However, with that said, there is something that I'm quite excited about and I've been doing, and that is to do a type of trade room based on binary options. And binary options are a type of way where we're trading the options market, but binary options. And binary options are a piece of time. And instead of buying a position in crypto that will go up and down and you have to sell it at a later time, you're just buying a block of time. One button, that's it. You buy and then it expires. You either win or you lose. And we're actually not even concerned about how far price rises. We're not even concerned because you only have to be correct if price rose at least 1 point in the right direction. You get the whole amount that you had invested or bet. Now, I'm going to use the word bet because when it comes to binary options work a lot differently, and I'm going to show you just a screenshot of how this would look. Okay, one moment. Okay, binary options would look something like this. Where the platform, here's a platform called Pocket Option. You guys can do some research if you guys want to. But what it uses the markets that we normally trade. It even uses cryptocurrencies. It uses forex pairs. It uses a type of thing called over-the-counter, and also the standard pairs. And they pay out a percentage. So it's more likened unto a casino, and it's more likened to a roulette table. Where in roulette you would be betting on red or black, but there's 0 and double 0, so there's multiple ways to lose. In cryptocurrencies and markets with binary options, you're buying a piece of, for example, you're buying 30 seconds. So if you believe that the crypto will be higher in the next 30 seconds, you'll win a payout of approximately 92%. Or if you bet $1, it'd be 92 cents. Now, when it comes to something like this, the only way to beat this would to probably use pattern recognition and mathematics, simple mathematical formulas. It's very simple to be consistent and to come out win, provided you're playing long enough. It is a lot like a casino. And I would not want to sugarcoat it and say it's not like that. If I'm randomly betting or randomly taking option positions, I could really lose a lot. They give you demo accounts you can practice. That was a real account. They give you demos to practice a lot. And what will happen is you can see how quickly you can lose a lot of money. You can lose a lot of money very quickly. But you can also gain a lot of money very quickly. Every 30 seconds, you can be win-win using principles that are charting techniques. Okay? Because on a chart, if you know the flow of price, you can consistently bet or trade in that direction. Now, I just use the word bet. That's not the correct word. It's actually a trade because you actually are taking a position, but for only 30 seconds. And you only concern if you get the direction right. And we're going to talk more about this in a special class. I'm going to teach you guys about how options work. It is the same technique as the options market for stock options. That's how the millionaires make their money in stock options. When you're buying the option, you're buying the right to trade that stock up to that price. So you only concern if the price is in the money. People have to go to college for quite a bit to get certain financial licenses to trade stock options. When I was 15 and 16 years old, I used to go to the library and rent books out that were like this big and study options until I would fall asleep to force myself to understand how options work, because one day I knew I was going to do it. The only problem is when I turned 18 at the time, they didn't let me trade options because they said I was too young at the time. But I knew how to do it. I knew the concept of it. And so I understand options quite well. You cannot trade options in cryptocurrencies and the Forex until binary options came out, which is fairly new. And binary options are options markets on steroids. And that's why I say it's more like a casino. And yet, if you study mathematical betting, you can actually stack the odds in your favors. There's even a modified type of system where you can even bet, and if you have more losses than you have wins, you can still come out on top. You say, what? How is that possible? It depends on the type of percentage that you bet and breaking up your larger investments into smaller units. A trade room I'm doing consistency. I'm doing pretty consistent. I can make about $100 every hour when I'm trading, and it's pretty fun. It's very fun. It's just up and down. And to do a trade room based on binary options, it's great because there's demo. People can practice. But it would be me calling out. It'd be something like me being in the room and me calling out saying, hey, we're going to bet that it's down. So I bet that it's down. So if the line is lower than here, I'm going to win. So the trade closed right now. I just made 92 cents, just like that. And you guys didn't see it. But if I click on close, you can see that it says 92 cents profit right here, right above my head. That's how quick it goes if I'm trading a 5-second chart. It's fast. It is fast. That's why you can make a lot of money really quick. But you have to have a simple system. And I have one. I have a simple system. The system that I use is Heiken Ashi. I turn all of these candles into Heiken Ashi. And we're going to talk about that because normally they'd look like this. But I change them to Heiken Ashi and I use a simple candle following system and a simple moving average. And I do a certain thing. And I have a certain type of way that I approach this trading. I want to have a trade room where we may call out those out loud, and you guys are just going to watch me call out, and some of you guys will practice, and hopefully you guys will do. But I have this in the works for the next month, so I hope within the month we'll get started sometime towards the end of November. I'm still all in the practice arena doing it. I want to do it consistently with my own money. I did it consistently with demo accounts. I used to trade mathematical betting formulas for roulette on simulators, and I did that for a number of years. About 2 years I did that I never even walked into a casino once doing it, but I always did it mathematically. And I kept logs and journals of all of them. And I made hundreds of thousands of dollars with fake money. Simulating the mathematical betting formulas, and I did pretty good, but it wasn't real. And one day I said, one day I'm going to do it for real life if I can ever work up the courage to walk into a casino and start doing that. But it was amazing. It was really fun, and I was like, man, the only problem is with a roulette, it's just random. But with the markets, we can track markets, we can predict markets, so their pattern recognition system is already taken care of. And if that's the biggest component of it, then you can just apply that mathematical system two binary options. Binary options gives you that red or black. In this case, it's green or red or up or down, basically. And from here, you can really start doing well. So I hope to launch that type of trade room, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want any of you guys trading real money in the very beginning, especially if you're practicing, because you have to get the buttons right. Sometimes if you bet wrong because you knew it was right, but your number was incorrect, you bet because you didn't type in the calculator correct. And I did that just in practice. I tried to bet $4 and then changed the bet to $2, and I ended up typing 42, and I bet $42, and I did it twice before I recognized, and I was like, oh man, it set me back another hour. I had to make some money again. So that type of thing can happen. I want to implement TradeRoom using binary options because I believe it's going to be very profitable for some of you who are going to want to have something to do to make some money. I'm working on this with just in a very special way. So be patient a little bit longer with me. And in the meantime, if you guys want to do some research and homework on binary options, you guys can go to the website Pocket Option and look at, or you can even practice yourself. But I haven't taught my method just yet for that. Okay. I love you guys, and let's do something. Let's close today reading the Word of God. Let's turn to Acts chapter 21. Actually, I think we finished Acts. Acts chapter 21. All right, we're going to turn to Acts, and we will read from the English Standard Version. By the way, when you guys are trading markets, you're going to have to learn how to control your emotions, because there's the mentality, and I'm so glad to say this during the sword method lesson. We've covered lessons 1 through 10 for sword method, which is the bulk of the method. But there's other things that come into play, and that's trader mentality and trader psychology. It feels like a casino when you're day trading, when you're intraday trading. And there's a certain casino effect. There's a certain gambler's mentality that is a type of greed and fear that come over an individual. All markets are run off of two things: greed and fear. Every market. Fear of loss and fear of missed opportunity. Greed, not knowing when we should get out, or staying in too long even when we know we should get out. There's those fears and greeds run the market. Therefore, some people say, I'm never going to gamble. But when we're in a market, any type of market, there's a gambling element. Do you know, even if we're farmers, we can overbet on our crops. We can throw everything into just one season. But if it's a bad season, we lose the farm. We can go all out by not trying to hire enough people. Okay, and try to do all ourselves. But then we're risking, if something happens to us, then we lose the farm. There's a gambling element to almost every market and everything we do, where we need to be careful. The Bible doesn't say anything specifically about the word gambling that I'm aware of, but it does talk about being a wise steward. It does talk about not being foolish with our money, frivolous with our money, wasting with our money. It talks us about multiplying our money in open markets, and that's where fair trade is. In open markets, we can go to markets and try to make money. God commended, not condemned, commended those who multiplied what they had in the Bible, specifically when it came to wealth and money. God prophetically gave visions to Joseph and the king about what was to come and about what to do and how to multiply their wealth. God even helped position people for the wealth transfer with receiving the gold. God positioned people like Abraham by allowing darkness to happen to Lot, so that when Abraham would fight, he would completely plunder the Chaldeans who were attacking his nephew. And in this way, God kept moving situations so that they would be increased in the marketplace. God showed Jacob, while he was in the wilderness, in the land of his father-in-law, even though he was being fed crumbs, and even though he was having his money changed, his salary changed all the time in a negative way, and even though he was given the speckled sheep that no one wants, you can't use those for the sacrifice, you can't use those for anything like that. They were the bad ones, right? the speckled sheep, God used those to help multiply Joseph, to help multiply Jacob. So during those days, God teaches us multiplication through physical wealth. There's one problem that we really have to deal with, and that's the greed and fear component when it comes to the wealth. If we receive wealth and we have not worked out those greeds and fears, or we're not aware of where those lines of greed and fear are within us, our boundaries, if we don't know our limits, then we're more apt to become corrupt after a wealth transfer. Let me give it to you this way. If I was never tested in markets when I was young, I would fail to greed and fear in a major way. If I had small losses back then, when I'm a millionaire or I'm a billionaire or I'm a trillionaire, I will still make the same decisions and same mistakes that I made, except for now those mistakes would cost me everything. It's better I lose $1,000 at a small level than lose $100,000 at a higher level, or millions of dollars. How many times have you seen people who win the lottery and they move into these great mansions and they still make the same poor person, just poverty mentality, very foolish financially, terrible mistakes that they did when they were poor? Because the poverty mentality, the foolish mindset is not changed just because a person has wealth. You can have a rich, foolish person. Didn't God say to that rich man in the Bible who said, I'm going to tear down everything I have and build bigger houses and bigger barns to store everything? And God said his exact words, "Thou fool, for you do not realize that tonight your life will be required of you." You're not thinking long term about eternity. And so there's a wise man who could be very poor, or a wise man who could be very rich. But generally, a wise person is always going to become rich, even if they're allowed to go through a poor season. But a foolish man who is foolish, even if they receive millions or billions, they're always going to go back down to their level. And that's why there's so many stories about the lottery winners who will get a lot of wealth, but in just 3 or 4 years, it's generally not more than that, they almost always go back. If they were starting in the trailer park and they moved into the mansion, they usually go back to the trailer park. And it's well documented. It's a phenomenon. And it's because they don't have they're rich in money, but they're not rich up here. So they still make the same mistakes. If they get into debt at the smaller levels, they end up getting to debt in the bigger levels. If they haven't learned how to manage the money, the small money that they have, and they always are overspending, then when they're rich, they do the same things. Let me give you one last example before we read more of the Word of God in just a moment. If a person makes $1,000 a month, but we cannot live in our means, so we're always borrowing money. We can afford a small car, but what we end up doing is going to the dealership and trying to buy a car that we can't afford or barely can afford. And now we wonder, man, I don't have enough money. So they end up buying like a brand new car instead of going to the used car lot and just buying something poor because they want to look good. They end up getting a car that is a $700 a month payment that they can't afford. Okay. But they only make a very small amount a month, every month. So now a majority of their income is just going to that car. Now, they're in debt. They still owe another $30,000 on the car. It's insane. This person suddenly wins the lottery. They make $1 million. They end up buying a $750,000 car. And they buy it on loan. Then they end up buying a house. So now their payment is, instead of being $750,000, maybe it's $7,500 a month. $7,500 a month for a car. Before they know it, they're still spending like as if they have more money coming in. Not knowing that $1 million, that was it. That's it. That's unless they created businesses, investments, or whatever to create passive income into them, they're still going to have just that. But they're buying as if they can afford it. This happens all the time. Because they don't just do it with the car, they do it with a mansion. They buy a house that has a monthly payment that they cannot sustain. The bank will give them a loan because they'll look and say, oh, they got $1 million in the bank. But then they go out and spend all this stuff. So they cannot maintain that lifestyle. And then one day they wake up and there's no more money in the bank. and they repossess their Ferrari, repossess their mansion, and this happens all the time. It's well documented. What's the problem? You have to break the poverty mentality thinking. And that means sometimes you have to become financially literate, financially educated in certain things. That way you can be a poor during a season, but it's only temporary. It's a temporary setback, or it's a temporary delay. You will always be put back to where the level of your wealth in here. A person will always go to the level of their financial intellect. Always. Wherever they left off. If they're poor in here, you can give them a lot of money, they're going to go back down. Every time. Until they grow up in here. If you're rich, if you're smart, if you're a wise person in here, it's only a matter of time before you're a billionaire, because you can maintain it. But if you haven't learned to break the lessons, the gambling lessons, at this young age, then you cannot do it at a higher age without much pain and much suffering. So the more you're allowed to be tested in the smaller levels while you're still in your bitterness, while you're still in this area where things are not the best, things are dark, then that's the best. Okay? Because if the root can endure the wind, it can go very strong. You guys can be very powerful people if you're allowed to test yourselves now. That's why it's good to participate in the markets now. Get your feet wet. Buy something, even if it's a loss. The reason is so that you can learn where your emotions are. Now, hopefully you don't have losses, and hopefully you guys are buying the good things. First, you guys are becoming literate. You guys are reading books. You're understanding. You're doing things for yourself. You're preparing your mind for what it's like when you are that wealthy. Because if you can treat it good now, you guys are going to be fantastic when it's time. Now, let's read the Word of God. It says this, "And when he had departed from them and set sail, we came by a straight course to Cos, and the next day to Rhodes, and from there to Patra. And having found a ship crossing to Phoenicia, we went aboard and set sail. When we came in sight of Cyprus, leaving it on the left, we sailed to Syria, and we landed in Tyre." They must have been tired. Okay. "And from there, for there the ship was to unload its cargo. And having sought out the disciples, we stayed there for 7 days." So they're on their journey, and they said, "Hey, is there believers here in this area?" And they sought out the disciples, and they went to the area for 7 days. "And through the Spirit, they were telling Paul not to go to Jerusalem. When our days were ended, we departed. We went on our journey. And they all, with wives and children, accompanied us until we were outside the city. And kneeling down on the beach, we prayed and said farewell to one another. And then we went on board the ship, and they returned home." All right, let's talk about this for just a moment. Have you ever had times where people are just not supportive of your mission? Where people, even your friends and family and loved ones, they don't want you to do what maybe God called you to do. We know from the Bible here that God called Paul to go to Jerusalem. And yet in the spirit they're saying, "Hey, Paul, but bad things are going to happen to you. You should not go. You should not go." It could be a mixture of both. That God gave Paul a grace, a warning. Say, "Paul, you know what? You don't have to drink this cup if you don't want to. In fact, I'm letting you know, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be dangerous. If you continue this path, Paul, it's going to cost you a lot." Remember what Jesus said to the sons of Zebedee? The mother came to him and said, "Jesus, I got my 2 sons here. When you are in your kingdom, can one of my sons sit on your right hand and the other sit on your left hand on your thrones?" And Jesus said to him, he didn't say, "No, you cannot do that." He didn't say that. He said, "Can you drink the cup that I'm going to drink?" And they said, "We can." And then Jesus said, "You will drink the cup then. But to sit on the right hand throne and the left, it's not for me to give, but it's for my Father to give." But yes, basically saying, yes, you have the right to do it, but my Father's going to have to make the ultimate decision. Do you want to drink this cup? Option. You have the choice to go down this path. You don't have to choose it, but it could be hard. It's a strong cup to drink. Remember when Jesus was going on the cross? What did Jesus say? Lord, let this, who knows the scripture? Lord,
pass from me.
That's right, Sharon. He said, Lord, let this cup pass from me. But nevertheless, not my will, but your will. So what did he do? Jesus was given an option. He could not do it. He could do it. But ultimately, he knew God's will was that he do it. Did God warn him that he would suffer much? Yes. Is that anything new? No. Is that a warning? Is that a deterring? No. It's just God being merciful and graceful. Sometimes to help you prepare, and sometimes to give you the option to turn back now if you want to. You don't have to do everything. But there's a great reward for those things that God calls you. When I was young, the Lord often called me to ministry by saying this, my son, if I ever call you to be a pastor, will you be a pastor? And I would always say, yes, Lord. You guys know the story. I told you guys the story before. I want to say maybe about 6 times when I was growing up, when I was young, the Lord would speak this to me. Out of the blue, I would hear on almost audible voice of the Lord saying, if my son, if I ever ask you to be a pastor, will you be a pastor? And I would answer, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. But he never asked me. He just was preparing me. He wanted to see what I would choose. God does that sometimes. He did it with Abraham. When Abraham was going to bring the knife down and Abraham was going to kill his child, God was the one to send him, said, hey, sacrifice your son. And then after the knife was about to come down, that's when God said, now I know that you love me. God wanted to see if he had what it takes to go through with what he speaks. Because words are cheap, and I've told you that before. As we look into Paul's journey, it says that the believers, they went aboard, were prophetically told, hey, it's going to be bad for Paul. So now the believers are warning, don't do it. Don't go, Paul. Don't go. If they go, he could say, Lord, you warned me, so I'm not going to go. But he had to weigh and consider, why is God warning me? Maybe for Paul, God was warning him because he would help prepare himself for the danger. But Paul was determined. Maybe it was the Lord giving him that last grace saying, you don't have to drink this cup, Paul. You already suffered a lot. You've gone through a lot of things. You've been shipwrecked. You've been beaten. It's been crazy. And I'm proud of you. But this is your option. Maybe that was the case. Or maybe it was the fear in another believer's eyes and a misinterpretation of the prophetic. What do I mean by that? If we look at the scripture, it says that while we were there, we departed on our journey. Okay. Having sent out the disciples, we stayed there for 7 days. And through the Spirit, they were telling Paul not to go. They may be having a connection with the Spirit of God. Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really terrible. So then they immediately come to the conclusion, God doesn't want you to go. So they're trying to talk him out of that. But a preparation, listen to me carefully, a preparation is different than an instruction not to go. And that's the difference. How can we apply that in our life today? How many of you heard prophets on YouTube about various things? On Z3 News, on whatever websites you guys are listening to. We hear prophetic words all the time, right? And sometimes those words are things that are to come. But they're not for us to act on with fear, but simply just to prepare. Sometimes those words are for us to pray. Sometimes those words are for strength. Sometimes that's just to fulfill the requirement that God said in the Bible when he says, I will do nothing without first telling my servants, the prophets. So somewhere on the earth, there's some prophets being known about what's happening, what God's doing today. Sometimes they get a little piece, but the message is out there. And it's just sometimes for us to prepare and not for us to be afraid and not for us to shrink back. We have to keep that in mind. When we hear a lot of stuff, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, this is going to happen. Does that mean we have to take action on everything? No. No. Are there believers that are going to shout, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this and that and this and that? Yes. Those believers are going to be yelling at us, telling us with tears in their eyes, don't do it. I saw it prophetically. It's bad. God doesn't want you to go. God doesn't want you to go. Is that your interpretation? Is that your interpretation? Or is that God's interpretation? Because God could just be telling you to tell me so that I'm prepared. And we got to keep that. Hallelujah. I'm speaking to somebody. I'm speaking to the situation. God may say all of these things. Pray first. Because Paul could be running away from his destiny and his mission that he already knew. He could be getting the option. But a believers that are trying to stop them is the same as Peter. And this is where I'm going to close with this message. This mini sermon. We're going to read from Matthew 16. And we'll end here. It says here, from that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and he must suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Privately, he said, Lord, never, Lord, this shall never happen to you. God doesn't want you to be so. You're supposed to be the king. You cannot die like this. You can't. No. Never, Lord. And Jesus' answer shocked him. Jesus turned to Peter and said, get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. And then Jesus gave them the priority. Then Jesus said to his disciples, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their own cross and follow me. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it. Whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world and yet lose their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come into his Father's glory with his angels. And then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Jesus' thinking is different than other people's thinking. When we have people run to us and try and shake us because they're interpreting God's message, we have to see first, does it apply to us? Is bad things going to happen? Yes. Are they going to be right prophetically? Yes. Will they have a right to say, I told you? No. They will not have the right to say, I told you, if God was the one to send you in that direction anyway. Because it was his preparation. That's why we see God was sending Jesus to the cross either way. God revealed what would happen. And Peter's trying to stop it just because what is the mindset? It's fear. It's fear. He believes that God only wants good things and never allow the bad. But Job said, God made the day, but did he also not make the night? Sometimes he's going to call you, my friends, to a dangerous situation. And you may have your prophetic friends call you up and says, hey, don't go. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Did God say not to go? Did God say to go? You have to pray yourself and find out the truth. You have to find out the truth. Is God really calling you for that or not? I had a friend, and I know I said that was the last thing, was the last scripture I was going to say, but the last part of the story I'll say is, I had a prophet friend. And he was very upset when he found out that God made me a pastor in California. He was very upset. And he says, you know what? Look, prophetically, I don't think you're ready. I don't feel in my spirit you're ready. And I says, okay. And I love this man. But he doesn't think I'm ready to be a pastor at that time, those years ago. And I said, okay. And I didn't want to argue, but he really wanted to make his point. And he was like, this is why. Because let's just look at the facts. Look at the facts, Jae-sung. You're rash. You're so quick. You just do whatever comes in your head, you just go out and you do it. And, you just act too quickly. You act too rash. And I don't think you're ready to be a pastor then. And I says, listen, brother, I love you. Thank you. The Lord is the one who called me. You were there yourself. You saw, even our own local pastor here, he said it before the whole church. He said that I was promoted in the spirit and I was going to be preaching to adults and everything like that. And he said that I was going to be ministering to them. And he said, I've been promoted in the spirit. Like, you were there. You were in actual service. Did you not? And he says, yes. And I said, okay, what about Tom McNaughton? When Tom McNaughton came in the church, he was an evangelist. We don't even know who he is. He came in, he grabbed me by the hand, walked me around the whole church and said the same thing Pastor said. In addition to the my pastor in California who said the same thing. I know you feel this, but is this really God? Or is this you just acting out fear? And then finally, the last thing I said to him was this. In addition to all of that, I'm not going to deny that I'm quick and I'm rash and I go really quick when it comes to when I want to do something. And I go and I do whatever comes into my head and mind. I do that a lot. But did you know it's that very same thing that God calls me, that I think that God chose me? Because if God tells me, hey, I want you to go and do this, he knows I'm just going to go and do it. If God's speaking to me clearly, hey, do this, and I have it in my heart, I'm going to try and run with it as best I can. You know that's exactly what God chose me for. And that if it's profitable, if it's for a lot of people, it's for a little bit, I'm going to do it either way. Even if I'm just preaching to the dolls, I'll let God worry about the rest. And you know what he did? He started laughing and he smiled at me and he shook his head and he didn't use the word, but he looked at me and said, you're right. But it would have been like, he would have said, darn it, you're right. That's what he would have been saying like, but he just was like, you're right. But it was like, gosh darn. And we laughed and he went home that day. But in the next few weeks, we made up very kindly because he really understood. God chooses people for different reasons. And God chose Paul for that very reason, because he knew he was going to drink the cup. And though all the prophets were saying, don't do it, it's dangerous, it's dangerous. He says, there's another passage, you're going to read it later on, where he says, you're breaking my heart. Stop trying to stop me. You're breaking my heart. We're going to see that next time. Father, we thank you so much for this lesson today and also the mini sermon, Lord. Lord, through all the voices of prophetic and people that are speaking prophetically, putting their own spin and interpretation, I pray that we hear you. And even though there may be right and there may be danger and there may be bad, there's some of us that don't need to take any action at all except for to prepare our hearts and minds. And I pray that you give them grace to know the difference. There's a lot of fear that happens when those things come in our minds and hearts for them. But let us not be afraid if you've called us. There may be danger and there may be famine and persecution. You warned us. But if you call us, let us be brave. So despite the noise, despite our friends and family and loved ones telling us not to do it, if you call and if you say to do it, Lord, we will go. Lord, we will do. Lord, we will act. And I thank you for that, and we'll just chalk it up to grace that you helped prepare us for what may be to come, whether it's dark times or famine or peril. Let us also use this as a reminder that Paul could have ran away on hearing that you were confirming in the Spirit that it would be dangerous. And he could have took the word of the prophet and said, no, I'm not going to go, because God is obviously not wanting me to go because he's showing me how dangerous it is. He could have taken his own interpretation and the interpretations of those prophets or those prophetic people. But instead, Lord, he consulted you about what was the real truth, about what you originally called. And unless you changed it, he was determined to follow through. Jesus said, let the cup pass from me. But nevertheless, not my will be done, but your will be done. And I pray ultimately, Lord, that we are a people that will say, not our will be done, but your will be done. And though each new day there seems to be a new prophetic word, and some of them may add to a warning, let us pray, because we do not need to take actions on every single one unless you say specifically. And I pray for the confirmation that you speak to both of them. Lord, let us find ourselves hidden in you. And when you give us a mission, let us not turn to the left. Let us not turn toward the right. Let us not force ourselves to have a dream, like you said in Deuteronomy and Leviticus, that these people, they will have these dreams, that the prophets were encouraging the people to have dreams. Lord, I pray that we would not be stirred up to have dreams unless they are of you. And I mean like prophetic dreams. Lord, I pray that we would be attune to the Spirit of God. And that we would only take the actions that you deem necessary. Maybe sometimes the reason you don't reveal so much is because you know that we will be so rash to take action the moment we see something rather than praying to see if we should take action. Because sometimes you just want us to know what's going on in the world. Or you want us to know what's going to happen next. But we try to get ahead of the curve every moment, Lord. And sometimes that's not the right thing to do. Instead, let us pray first about what action we should take, if any. Like Paul. Let us learn from the powerful lessons that you've given us. And I thank you and I praise you. And I bless you, Lord. May you also bless us. Keep us. Make your face shine upon us. Look upon us with favor. Be abounding to us with grace. Be gracious unto us, Lord. Forgive us from our sins. Look upon us with favor. Be abounding with grace. Give us peace, prosperity, love, happiness, all the good things. We love you and praise you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Have a great day, and thank you for enjoying the lessons 1 through 10. Next week will be a little bit different, and again, look forward to November, our new launches. So I'll be right back. Let's have a great day.